Welcome to Bible Fiber, where we explore the textures and shades of the biblical tapestry. I'm Shelley Neese, president of the Jerusalem Connection. We are a Christian organization dedicated to sharing the stories of Israel's people, both ancient and modern. I'm also the author of the book, Bible Fiber, a 52-week study of the 12 minor prophets available on Amazon. This week we are reading Korah, which covers Numbers 16:1 to 18:32. In the aftermath of the negative report from the 10 spies, God pronounced that the current generation must languish in the desert until their deaths. Following that news, it is not surprising that a serious rebellion occurs next. Korah is the antihero in this Torah portion, infamous for leading a coup against Moses and Aaron that leaves 15,000 dead. However, every family dispute has two sides to the story, so we should learn more about Korah to understand the family dynamics in full. Korah was a prominent Levite and a close relative of Moses and Aaron. Korah's father and Moses' father were brothers, which makes Moses, Aaron, and Korah first cousins. As Korah watched his cousins attain the highest positions of authority in the community, resentment slowly took root in his heart. Korah was also a Levite. Even more specifically, he descended from Kohath, who was one of Levi's 3 sons. Korah and his clan of Kohathites were responsible for transporting the sacred furnishings of the tabernacle. According to the division of labor among the Levites, Aaron and the priests were responsible for covering the sacred objects, such as the Ark of the Covenant, the golden altar, and the lampstand, whenever the camp prepared to move. Once the items were safely packed and covered, the Kohathites carried them on their shoulders using poles. They were strictly forbidden from touching or looking at the bare holy items directly upon penalty of death. It's true that a hierarchy existed among the Levites. The descendants of Aaron outranked all the rest. All priests are Levites, but not all Levites are priests. Korah was not eligible for the high priesthood since he had not descended from Aaron. Still, Korah belonged to the elite clan of the Kohathites. They held the most prestigious job among the non-priestly Levites, carrying the sacred objects. Yet this high position put him in constant proximity to the priesthood, without ever allowing him to attain it. He was close enough to see the ultimate authority, but barred from holding it. Korah specifically wanted to supplant Aaron. To achieve this, he organized an uprising. He gathered 250 disgruntled tribal leaders, and crucially, he found willing allies in Attain and Aviram. Both men were leaders from the tribe of Reuben. Attain and Aviram had a grievance much like Korah. As Reubenites, it normally would have been their privilege to enjoy the blessings of being Jacob's firstborn. In a traditional tribal confederation, the Reubenites would naturally hold the highest position of leadership. Instead, Jacob passed over Reuben in favor of Judah and Joseph. Generations later, the Reubenites had not recovered from the insult. They finally wanted to reclaim their lost status and replace Moses as the leader. Together, this faction confronted Moses. Korah channeled his personal resentment into a populist message, arguing that the whole community was holy and that Moses and Aaron had selfishly exalted themselves at the expense of the community. Korah said, "You have gone too far. All the congregation is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. So why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord?" Moses does not dispute that point. In the preceding chapter, Moses had just reminded them that they are a consecrated people. In response to their accusation, Moses falls on his face down on the ground, and he's exhausted and heartbroken. Recall that he had resisted God's call to leadership from the beginning, only accepting the role because God insisted he was the chosen one. Now his own family members accused him of a power grab. Moses accuses Korah and his fellow Levites of being ungrateful. He claims they are dishonoring the high calling they already have, asking them, "Is it too little for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to allow you to approach him in order to perform the duties of the Lord's tabernacle and to stand before the congregation and minister to them?" Moses was trying to remind them that God had already given them a revered status. God chose them to serve at his tabernacle. Moses asked if this remarkable privilege is somehow not enough. They have a vital role, yet they covet the priesthood. Dathan and Abiram did not have the courage to confront Moses directly alongside Korah. Moses knew they were in the background, stirring things up, so he summoned them to his tent, and they refused to come. Instead, they sent a message back to Moses. "Is it too little that you have brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, that you must also lord it over us?" The Reubenites' insults towards Moses carried a sharp personal sting. They blamed Moses for failing his entire mission. By not bringing them into the Holy Land, they believed Moses showed an inability to lead. And they asked Moses why they had to leave a land of milk and honey to follow him to their doom. They sarcastically abused the name given to the Promised Land, and they applied it instead to Egypt, the land of their slavery. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram managed to rally 250 chieftains to their side. It's easy to see the appeal of their message. The Israelites are wandering in a harsh desert. They are tired, frustrated, and looking for someone to blame. Korah and the Reubenites tap into that collective anxiety and disguise their personal desire for status as a noble fight for fairness. Moses decides to settle the dispute with a contest, giving God the chance to show his favor. He challenges Korah and his followers to perform the very priestly duties they claim as their right and privilege. He tells them to take censers, fill them with coal, and offer incense. This job is normally reserved exclusively for an Aaronic priest. No one else is authorized to perform this sacred ritual. The penalty of carrying unauthorized fire should be fresh in Korah's mind. Aaron's own sons were struck dead for the exact same offense. The whole assembly gathered at the tabernacle to decide the matter, and the text says the glory of the Lord appeared to the entire assembly. God told Moses and Aaron to stand back, and he also warned the rest of Korah's multitude to step aside. What happens next is a three-part wave of judgment. First, Moses announces a condition to the people. They will only know if God is angry with Korah if he makes the ground open up and swallow the rebels alive. He warns Korah that he has started something he will not be able to finish. During the Exodus, Moses witnessed earth-shaking miracles regularly. That gave him a wide imagination for the means by which God could act. As soon as Moses issued the eerily specific warning, the earth opened its mouth, swallowing the rebels and their entire households. It consumed all those near them along with their possessions. The Dead Sea Rift system has been a highly volatile tectonic zone capable of sudden ground collapses since ancient times. In a region defined by massive active fault line and underground salt cavities, the description of the Earth opening aligns perfectly with known natural occurrences. But in the story of the Korah rebellion, the collapse did not happen randomly. It occurred at the exact geographical spot where the rebel tents were pitched, and at the precise moment Moses finished speaking his prophetic warning. God used the region's volatile, unstable geology to execute a swift and unmistakable judgment. Next, Korah's 250 insurgents leaders were preparing the incense for their censers when a fire from the Lord consumed the men holding the censers. God then speaks to Moses, commanding that the censers be pulled from the smoldering ashes. God instructs them to hammer the censers, which remain holy, into a beaten bronze overlay for the altar. The very next day, the Israelites blame Moses and Aaron for the deaths of the tribal leaders. God's anger burns against the camp, and he sends a deadly plague. Nearly 15,000 more died over the coming day from this outbreak. 5 times more died in the wake of Korah's rebellion than in the golden calf episode. The destroying angel from the Exodus narrative pays the nation another visit. During the Exodus, the Israelites painted blood on their doorposts to protect their homes. This time, Aaron uses a different method. Instead of letting the destruction run its course, Moses instructs Aaron to take his priestly censer, put fire from the altar on it, add incense, and hurry to the congregation and make atonement for them. Aaron literally stands between the living and the dead to halt the destruction. only Aaron's intervention stopped the widespread casualties. Moses and Aaron pleaded for the people, falling face down and asking, O God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one person sin and you become angry with the whole congregation? Aaron placed his own life at risk to shield the very people who had just rejected his leadership. This mirrors the position of Jesus and his atonement. Humanity stood under the spiritual sentence of death due to sin, and Jesus, acting as the ultimate high priest, stepped directly into our broken, dying world. By dying on the cross, Jesus stood between a holy God and a dying humanity, absorbing the impact of sin to protect those who had rebelled against him. Like so many stories in the Bible, the story of the Korah rebellion is fully understood when read as part of a continuum. In Numbers 26, when the Korah rebellion is recounted, it is noted that all of Korah's sons died that day. So, apparently some of Korah's sons did not stand with their father's rebellion, and they were spared from the live burial, fire, and plague. The descendants of Korah's sons became critical figures in the rest of the Jewish story. In fact, the generational records and chronicles confirm that despite Korah's rebellion, his lineage eventually survived, producing Samuel. A descendant of Korah, Samuel was one of the most venerated and blameless leaders in Israelite history. He served as prophet, priest, and last judge. Samuel was trusted to select the first king and oversee the nation's transition from judgeship to kingship. After the judgment, the descendants of Korah continued in their Levitical duties for hundreds of years. They apparently never protested the dynastic nature of the priestly class again. 11 worship songs in the Psalms are attributed to the Korah priest who served in the temple courts. These are Psalms 42, 44 through 49, 84, 85, 87, and 88. The title of Psalm 46 explicitly attributes the song to the sons of Korah. For a family whose lineage was defined by a cataclysmic event where the earth opened up, the lyrics read less like poetic metaphor and more like a vivid processing of family trauma. When the descendants of Korah talk about the earth-melting power of the Lord, they may be writing in the most literal sense possible. Psalms 46 says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of the city, it shall not be moved. God will help it when the morning dawns. The nations are in an uproar, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, and the earth melts. By declaring, therefore we will not fear, the descendants of Korah are acknowledging that even if the worst historical memory of their family repeats itself and the very ground beneath their feet fails, God remains their ultimate security. That's it for this week. Join me next week in reading Numbers 19:1 to 25:9. If you would like to get the study questions that go with this reading, please visit our website at thejerusalemconnection.us. Shabbat Shalom and Am Israel Chai.